Joe Biden. He's the guy who puts ketchup on his steak. Just your average, relatable guy. Except for the whole leader of the free world thing. Born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Biden's story is the quintessential American tale. Behind the folksy demeanor and aviator shades, there's a complex figure. His journey, from a stutter-stricken child to a seasoned politician, is a testament to resilience. He's the oldest president in US history. Biden's story reflects America's evolving narrative. As he leads a nation grappling with deep divisions, the question remains, will he be remembered as a unifier? Biden's political career began in 1973 when he was elected to the US Senate, representing Delaware. He was only 30 years old, eager to make his mark. His early years were marked by personal tragedy. Weeks after his election, his wife and daughter were killed in a car accident. He found love again, remarried, and continued his ascent. In 2008, Biden was chosen by Barack Obama to be his running mate. Their partnership led the country through economic turmoil and historic progress. Despite a long career, Biden hasn't been immune to controversy. His gaffes provide fodder for comedians and opponents. His age is now a subject of intense scrutiny. Critics question his stamina and mental acuity. Past decisions like the Iraq War vote haunt him. Supporters argue his experience is needed now. They see him as a steady hand in chaotic times. The question of his legacy looms large. Joe Biden's story, much like his favorite ice cream flavor, is classic Americana. Born in 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Biden's upbringing was a mix of working-class values and big dreams. His father, a car salesman, instilled in Joe the importance of hard work and family. His mother, Jean, had a quick wit and an unwavering belief in her son's potential. She told him, "Joey, God never made a junkyard." Scranton's close-knit community left an indelible mark on Biden's character. He saw his father struggle and vowed to fight for those striving for the American dream. Section 2. The Making of a Senator. Trials by Fire. Biden studied history and political science at the University of Delaware. He preferred the camaraderie of his fraternity brothers. He had a natural charisma, hinting at future political aspirations. After Delaware, Biden attended Syracuse Law School. There he met Nelia Hunter, his first wife. They returned to Delaware, eager to make their mark. Biden practiced law briefly before entering politics. In 1972, he challenged Senator J. Caleb Boggs. It was a long shot. Boggs was well established. Biden was a young upstart. He made up for in grit and determination. He campaigned tirelessly. He connected with voters. Biden pulled off a stunning upset. He became a rising star in the Democratic Party. From tragedy to triumph, the arc of resilience. Biden's victory should have been a moment of unbridled joy, but fate had other plans. His wife and daughter were killed in a car accident. His sons were seriously injured. He considered resigning his Senate seat. But he took his oath by his son's hospital bedside, a testament to his resilience and commitment to family and duty. Section 4. Delaware's Dynamo, a force in the Senate. As a senator, Biden quickly earned a reputation as a skilled legislator, a gifted orator, and a fierce advocate for his constituents. He was known for his ability to connect with people from all walks of life, his disarming charm, and his knack for finding common ground. He was a regular presence on Amtrak, commuting back and forth between Washington and Delaware, earning him the moniker Amtrak Joe. Biden's early years in the Senate were marked by his work on issues such as consumer protection, environmental regulation, and arms control. He was a vocal critic of apartheid in South Africa, sponsoring legislation to impose sanctions on the regime. He also emerged as a leading voice on foreign policy, serving on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and developing a reputation as a pragmatic internationalist. In 1987, Biden made his first run for the presidency. He campaigned on a message of generational change, presenting himself as a bridge between the old and the new. However, his campaign was plagued by accusations of plagiarism, and he ultimately withdrew from the race. Despite the setback, Biden remained a respected figure in the Democratic Party, his political star still very much on the rise. Joe Biden, despite his penchant for gaffes, was known for one thing in the Senate: working his tail off. His colleagues admired his work ethic, even if they didn't always agree with him. One of Biden's signature achievements was the Violence Against Women Act. Passed in 1994, it provided funding for law enforcement training and support for victims. Biden was also a key player in shaping foreign policy. He was a strong advocate for NATO expansion. Biden's approach was pragmatic, even hawkish at times. Perhaps no other Senate committee is as closely watched as the Judiciary Committee. For many years, Joe Biden was its chairman, overseeing Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Talk about a pressure cooker. Biden's charm and ruthlessness were on full display. He grilled nominees on their judicial philosophy and past rulings. The Clarence Thomas hearings in 1991 were particularly contentious. Allegations of sexual harassment by Anita Hill dominated the hearings. Biden's handling of Hill was widely criticized. He later expressed regret, acknowledging he could have done more. The hearings remain a source of controversy to this day. Despite his long tenure in Washington, Joe Biden never lost sight of his roots in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He often spoke of his father's struggles and the values of hard work and fairness. Biden was a vocal advocate for policies benefiting the middle class, such as tax cuts, affordable healthcare, and job creation. He was a key architect of the 2009 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, credited with saving millions of jobs. Biden's focus on the middle class was a key part of his political brand. He was seen as a man of the people, fighting for their interests. The presidency had always been within Joe Biden's reach, just out of grasp. He first ran in 1988, but his campaign flamed out due to accusations of plagiarism and gaffes. He tried again in 2008 but dropped out after a disappointing showing in Iowa. Fate intervened when Obama asked him to be his running mate. They won, and Biden became the 47th Vice President of the United States. Serving as Vice President gave Biden a front-row seat to the workings of the Oval Office. He was a trusted advisor to Obama, shaping domestic and foreign policy. Let's address the elephant in the room. Joe Biden's age. He's got more experience than most presidents, but also more birthdays. Pundits and opponents questioned his stamina, while supporters touted his experience. Every cough, stumble, and mispronounced name is scrutinized. Biden's age is both a blessing and a burden. He brings unmatched experience but leads a nation grappling with immense challenges. It's a tightrope walk and the whole world is watching. Joe Biden and the English language have produced some of the most cringeworthy moments in political history. From foot-in-mouth pronouncements to off-script asides, Biden's gaffes are legendary. They've spawned memes and provided fodder for late-night talk shows. Some argue these slip-ups show his authenticity, while others see them as proof he's not up to the job. Biden's gaffes have become part of his political brand. They're a double-edged sword, endearing him to some while raising concerns among others. Let's talk policy. Biden has significant wins, like overseeing the COVID-19 vaccine rollout and passing a historic infrastructure bill. He's taken steps to address climate change, though not satisfying everyone. But there have been challenges: the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal, the border crisis, and rising living costs. Critics argue he's been slow to act and too willing to compromise. Governing in a deeply divided nation is hard work. It's messy, and there's no shortage of people eager to point out every stumble. Biden, the embodiment of experience, leads a party grappling with a generational divide. The old guard versus the new blood, pragmatists versus progressives. Biden believes in working across the aisle, even if it means making compromises. A new generation of activists is impatient for change and skeptical of compromise. Biden needs to maintain support from progressives while appealing to moderates. Can he bridge the divide, or will the Democratic Party fracture under its own tensions? Why does America's political leadership seem like a perpetual game of bingo night at the retirement home? Both the House and Senate are looking seasoned these days. Some argue it's a matter of experience, bringing gravitas and historical perspective. Others point to name recognition, fundraising networks, and the inertia of incumbency. These factors benefit those who've been in the game the longest. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that makes it difficult for fresh faces to break through. Being an incumbent in Washington, D.C. is a sweet gig. Name recognition and a fundraising machine make it easier to stay in power. Once you've proven you can win, the money starts rolling in. People are creatures of habit and like the familiar. They keep voting for the same old faces, even if they yearn for change. The power of inertia keeps incumbents comfortably in their seats. The unholy trinity of modern politics: money, media, and the cult of experience. Running for office requires significant cash, favoring incumbents with established donor networks. The media environment values experience, making it easier for seasoned politicians to navigate. In a complex world, people crave leaders with experience. But is experience always the best teacher? Or are we clinging to a comforting illusion while the world burns around us? We're staring down the barrel of a gerontocracy, where experience is king and fresh faces struggle to break through. But there's hope in a new generation rising up, demanding change. They're organizing, mobilizing, and making their voices heard. Can this new generation bridge the partisan divide? Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. If we want change, we need to demand it, fight for it, and vote for it. The year is 2021. America watches as Joe Biden, the oldest president in US history, takes the oath of office. He promises unity, healing, and a return to normalcy. Biden faces the ultimate test, fixing a nation more divided than ever. The honeymoon period is short-lived as the pandemic rages on and the economy sputters. Biden remains optimistic, rolling up his sleeves and getting to work. Is this a new chapter in American history or a rerun of the same old drama? Remember the before times, folks? Back when the biggest worry was whether your avocado toast was sufficiently Instagrammable? Yeah, those were the days. Then came COVID-19, a global pandemic that turned the world upside down and made hand sanitizer a hotter commodity than concert tickets. Biden, inheriting a crisis not of his making, found himself thrust into the role of pandemic president. It was a no-win situation. Lockdowns, economic devastation, reopening, potential for more outbreaks. It was like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while riding a unicycle on a tightrope during a hurricane. He pushed for mask mandates, which, depending on your political persuasion, either made him a tyrant or a hero. He oversaw the rollout of a nationwide vaccination program, which, despite its share of logistical hiccups, was a monumental achievement. But the virus, like a particularly persistent telemarketer, just wouldn't quit. New variants emerged, case numbers fluctuated, and the American public, exhausted and increasingly divided, just wanted it all to be over. The pandemic became a political football, with both sides blaming the other for every spike, every shortage, every misstep. It was a stark reminder that even in the face of a global crisis, America's political divisions run deep, and Joe, poor Joe, was stuck right in the middle, trying to steer the ship while everyone argued about the best way to bail out the water. Okay, folks, let's talk about the Biden agenda. No, not the one where he forgets what state he's in or calls the vice president Momala. The other one, the one with all the policies and stuff. Remember Build Back Better? It was Biden's ambitious plan to address everything from climate change to income inequality, a progressive wish list wrapped up in a catchy slogan. The problem? Getting it past a Congress more divided than a middle school dance floor. The Democrats, despite controlling both chambers, barely, couldn't agree on which flavor of ice cream to order, let alone how to spend trillions of dollars. The Republicans, meanwhile, smelled blood in the water, sensing an opportunity to paint Biden as a radical socialist, hell-bent on turning America into a giant commune where everyone wears tie-dye and eats kale. So, What happened? Well, after months of negotiations, compromises, and more backroom deals than a season of House of Cards, Biden's grand vision was whittled down to a shadow of its former self. The infrastructure bill, a rare bipartisan victory, got passed. But the rest? Well, let's just say it's still stuck in committee, tied up in knots by procedural maneuvers and partisan bickering. It's enough to make you wonder if anything can get done in Washington these days, or if it's just all political theater designed to distract us from the fact that the emperor's wearing cargo shorts. Section 4. America on the world stage. Leading with a steady hand or stumbling forward. Remember when America was the world's cool kid, the one everyone wanted to hang out with, even if they secretly borrowed money from their parents to do so? Yeah, those days might be gone. Folks, the world has changed. America's standing on the world stage, once as solid as a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson handshake, is looking a little shaky these days. Biden, the foreign policy wonk, the guy who's forgotten more about international relations than most people will ever know, promised to restore America's global leadership. He rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, mended fences with NATO allies, and generally tried to reassure the world that America wasn't going full-on isolationist hermit crab. But it's been a tough sell. The chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, the ongoing war in Ukraine, the rising tensions with China. These challenges have tested Biden's experience and raised questions about America's ability to shape events on the world stage. Is America back, as Biden proclaimed? Or are we witnessing a slow-motion decline, a gradual fading of American power and influence? Only time will tell, folks. But one thing's for sure. The world is watching, and they're not entirely sure what to make of this new, older America. Section 1. The Biden Paradox. A legacy in the making. Joe Biden. He's the guy who puts ketchup on his steak and aviator shades on his face. A seasoned politician who often seems most at ease when he's shaking hands and cracking jokes. His presidency, much like the man himself, is a study in contrasts. He came into office promising unity, healing, a return to normalcy. But he inherited a nation riven by division, grappling with a pandemic. It's enough to make you wonder if anyone could bridge the chasm in American society. Biden's legacy, still very much a work in progress, will likely be debated for decades. Was he a transitional figure, a caretaker president, or did he lay the groundwork for a new era of American politics? The jury's still out, folks, but one thing's for sure, Biden's presidency has been anything but boring. He's made history, broken records, and provided endless fodder for late-night comedians. A leader whose greatest strength is often his ability to connect with people on a human level. Navigating the partisan divide. Joe Biden, the self-proclaimed bridge builder, came into office to heal the partisan divide. It was a tall order. This was about bridging a fundamental chasm in values and ideologies. Biden believed he could find common ground with Republicans, but his efforts were often met with resistance. The political climate had become even more polarized. The bridge he hoped to build remained unfinished. Section 3. The verdict, so far. a mixed bag of accomplishments and unfulfilled promises. How do we judge Joe Biden's presidency so far? Biden can point to significant achievements. He oversaw the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, saving countless lives. He passed a historic infrastructure bill. But setbacks like the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal have marked his presidency. The verdict on Biden's presidency is still being written. Beyond the memes and gaffes, a man defined by resilience and empathy, Joe Biden, known for his gaffes and awkward moments, as well as his policy positions. Beneath the surface lies a man shaped by triumph and tragedy, forged in personal loss and political battles. Achieved his dream of becoming a US senator, only to face unimaginable loss. Rebuilt his life, dedicated to his sons and work, faced more heartache with Bo's death. Through it all, Biden has persevered. Known for connecting with people, offering a kind word or comforting touch. Beneath the memes and gaffes lies a man of substance, a leader of empathy and resilience.